right, boys, here we are. We're back. Welcome back from the tour, boys. Hey, here we are. I can't believe it.
I mean, the first thing we both wanted to do after the tour was jump on a pod. We said, "Hey, can we do this any earlier, Mitch?" But you were like, "No, have a day off."
We did. We wanted to do it Monday morning, 9 o'clock.
Hey, yeah.
I wanted to do it Sunday night.
Yeah.
You bet you did.
I bet the stage finished at like 10:30.
Well, you boys are, Durbo, you're already on a Life in the Peloton pod this week, mate. You saw the boys on the ground there.
I got heckled at the bus. got taken in by the boys. It was actually quite good. My Henry was there. I had a beer in my hand, and I was just talking shit with the race radio. It's good.
They popped up. Good. I didn't know Harry was there. Then all of a sudden, I was driving up. It was Col de la Loze, and he just popped up out of nowhere. It's a bit like me when I drove up behind you in my car, Durbo. Every time in my electric car.
Tom's got this EV Cadillac, and he comes up because you were car 6 most of the tour, maybe. So he went too far back. And then I get dropped, and I'm just riding, back to groupetto, and I hear just Tom come up. Oh, in his EV vehicle, and he's just like window down. He's like, "You want a gel?" I was like, "Real." I just could barely hear him. It's like someone breathing on the back of your neck. It's like, "Do you want a gel?"
I actually was looking forward to the moments when you were coming back then, so I could drive up like super quiet, like let all the other cars go. It's like, ooh.
There was a few moments in the forest, just like I got dropped. Cause I always get dropped alone. I just want to hang out by myself for a little bit, and Tom comes up just. Oh, that's funny.
Boys, let's introduce what this is. This is the Race Communiqué. I'm sitting here with Tom Southam, sports director from EF Easy Post, and Luke Durbridge after his 11th Tour de France, rider at Jaco Lula. Boys, my two guests on this, co-hosts on the Race Communiqué. Boys, welcome. It's great to be here. This is Life in the Peloton presented by MAP, our major partner, but the Race Communiqué is exclusively this year being brought to you by our major partner, Training Peaks. And it's exciting, boys. This year, I didn't realize this is their 25th anniversary. And you know that, you think back 25 years ago, it's 2000. I certainly wasn't using Training Peaks then. I didn't even know something like this existed. How far ahead of their time were they? Just having the scope, the idea, like 25 years later, it's just everyone has it. That's what you need to be a pro now. That connection that they saw, they envisioned what it needed to be, that coach-athlete relationship. Probably back then it was like, come and read my diary. You're writing it down. You'd have to, post it across to your coach. You get it 2 weeks later. Didn't work. So, Training Peaks, they went, let's get something going online. And look, I use it throughout my whole career. The thing I did love about it, and maybe it shot myself in the foot, Simon, maybe you can give me the idea, is that I used to use it as my diary essentially, and I'd write all my feelings and my emotions into there for my coach because I thought, well, he's going to want to know why I couldn't achieve those numbers today or why I had a blow up. So I just put it all in there, and it was a great log for me to look back years before and go, why did I go good in this race? Why did I not go good in this race? I had it there in one place. If I had it written down in a diary, I'd probably lose it. Who knows where it'd go? I didn't realize that everyone at EF was reading it. They were reading it out at the team meetings and the directors because they had access.
Weekly call, just having a big laugh about, Mitch's emotions. No, I think
it's soap opera.
I think it varies what sort of rider you are, and there's also like there are a few guys get a little bit like, oh, you're going to know all this stuff. It's like, yeah, but we should be able to share stuff. If you're a team and you've got trust and things are working, and nobody would ever, use anything the wrong way. For me, it gives me like the more insight you can get to a rider, the better. Like if you have a Training Peaks account and you go in and it's just the training and there's never any comments, it's like, could you not just like help out a little bit? This was good. I felt bad. Whatever it is, everyone's got their own style, but like you could be super informative. I mean, not so much talking about, the dream you had last night, like you did, Mitch, things like that.
Sometimes I knew that was going to affect my training. So I just thought it just needs to be in there.
I actually play with my coach's balls a little bit, so like he doesn't really get sarcasm at all, so what I did is like I often put in there, deselect me from the Tour de France. I'm going so bad, horrible session, and like so I think it was after Tour de Suisse. I wrote in my comments because I was feeling pretty bad. Worst session I've ever done. I just wanted to see if he was checking. You know, I just wanted to put that out there and see if anyone would quit. Worst session I've ever done, I wouldn't select me for the tour. That's all right.
Really playing with fire there, Durbo.
Yeah, but I was just like, it was a bad session, you know, and I was thinking, okay. And then I just get this like, man, no shit. It was like 2 minutes phone call. And I was just like, right.
It actually...
He goes, that's not even funny.
Beat yourself in the foot there. But the point is, it's just a great log there for whether you got your team that needs to sort of keep track of everything, because you can put all your data in there now as you guys are tracking so much stuff, your sleep data, all your wearables. You've got, of course, your power files in there, but it's also the written stuff I think is probably the most powerful thing, because you got to put that all in combination with all that data, and it's the written comment, the perceived effort, the written comment from the athlete back to the coach is what forms that proper training log and that training program.
This is where we go back to this whole thing we have where it's like they are human beings, athletes, right? And the more and more and more we go down this route of everything being like, yeah, big time. like
I'm a human.
Like more and more info there is out there and all this stuff. It's so easy to lose track of that. And I think where my job becomes more interesting, where the actual skill of like real coaching becomes more interesting, is where you take that human element, you add all the other stuff, and then you get a little bit more out of it. So, right in your training peaks, kids.
Get on board. It's cool. 25 years this year, and happy to have them on board here at the Race Communiqué. Boys, we're back from the tour. I thought we could just do a bit of a wrap up of the tour, because, you know, look, this podcast could end up being 4 hours long. So I might just get through the chunk of it, and then we'll debrief afterwards some little points, what we think is really interesting. What do you think? Let's get back to the first week. It was a big first week, although looking at it on paper, it didn't look like it was going to be a big profile week because it was sort of lumpy, but you couldn't see any massive mountains. But if you looked a little deeper, you knew it was going to be a tough week, and it didn't disappoint for us watching on TV anyway. Crosswinds from day one, and I loved it. Ben O'Connor makes the cut, but only to crash out of the front group with 4K to go. Philipsen took the stage and yellow, which saw his team Alpecin take that momentum into stage 2, where Van der Poel took only his second stage win at the Tour ever and took over the yellow jersey from his teammate. But that was soon to disappoint the next day when Philipsen got caught up in that intermediate sprint. Heroes remember back then, and forced to abandon the race. That feels like so long ago now. Pogacar, then the Pogacar show kicked off in stage 4 with a cracking stage into Rouen, where the big boys went head-to-head. Pog coming out on top, this time with his first win at this year's Tour, beating none other than Van der Poel, who was, of course, in yellow. The next stage we saw Eduardo Affini with a strong start in the TT until the current Olympic and world champion Remco blasted around the course in Cannes to take the victory and put 33 seconds into Pog, but a whopping minute 22 into Vingegaard, which I thought was huge at the time. Well, the stage we'd all been waiting for, boys. Stage 6, Kevin Vauquelin, the big one, time to shine. The race rolled out of his hometown, of course, Bayeux, 3,600 meters of climbing, jam-packed into his narrow back roads. But unfortunately for Kevin, it wasn't to be because of the full gas start. And there was only one man winning that stage today, and it was Southam's man, Ben Healy, chipped off the front with 42K to go and winning by nearly 3 minutes. This gap saw him jump 25 places in GC in touching distance of the yellow jersey. But they couldn't leave Brittany without hitting the infamous Mur de Bretagne, and Pogacar, again, doing his thing. But Jonas this time put up a solid fight showing that he could be up to the challenge later in the mountains. Oscar Onley, a credible note here, coming into 4, finishing 3rd and showing the talent he had, which we would see later in the Tour as well. A couple sprint stages over the weekend with an extended first week because they wanted to make sure Bastille Day wasn't missed. With some seriously tired bodies out there, we saw stage 10, Simon Yates, just a month after winning the Giro, rode away to take the stage, and Team EF and Ben Healy rode in true French Bastille spirit to take the yellow jersey going into the first rest day. They must have had a pretty good sports director in the car that day, I reckon. What do you reckon, Southam?
On top of the game, mate.
After the rest day, we saw Abrahamsen win into Toulouse, and that was Uno X's first stage win at the Tour de France. We also saw Pog get his front wheel sliced and diced, and he went down with 4K to go. Really interestingly, the leading group, or the group of the leaders, decided to take the speed off and wait for him to rejoin before the finish, which realistically I don't reckon they should have done, because he absolutely pissed in their faces the next day up Haute Calm. Pure Pog domination. And I think this is the point where we knew how the Tour was going to end. And the next day was the uphill TT, which proved what we thought we'd already thought. Well, maybe not this. Plaptastic, I say, setting an outrageous first early time with some really smart equipment choices. And the way he paced it, I thought was awesome. Rog looked also fast. He took pole for a while after Plappy. Then soon by Jonas, he did a good time. But again, no surprise, Pogacar, he already knew. He did what we knew because he smoked it up that course. Remco, a rare TT fail there, and something wasn't quite right. We could already see sort of the writing on the wall there. Stage 14 was up Super Bagnier, and Aronsman got the stage from the breakaway and pretty much saved Ineos's Tour by that point. Remco abandoned after revealing that he broke his ribs before the Tour and was working hard to get back into shape. Whatever, we'll see what happened there. About him abandoning, saw Lipowitz move up into 3rd, and the fight for white was on. We saw that fight continue with Onley and Lipowitz. Surprisingly, we saw then into Carcassonne, Tim Wellens and Team UAE from Team UAE took the stage from the breakaway and just showing like these guys, how ridiculously strong that squad is. And this is the best bit. Alaphilippe coming in, celebrating for 3rd and realizing there weren't 2 up the road. This was just classic. I love this.
2 up the road for the last God knows how many K. I mean, come on.
Yeah, just missed it. Von 2, here we go. This was always going to be an epic stage, and the battle between Valentine Paripant and Ben Healy proved exactly that. Paripant getting the better of Healy in a sprint right to the line, right on top of Von 2. The next day was a huge crash with 1K to go where we saw the Peloton, about the whole Peloton more or less got blocked behind apart from about 15 riders. But it really changed the result because Milan took his second stage win and more or less clinched the green jersey that day. Finally, stage 18, the one I'd certainly been waiting for had arrived. Queen stage up, Col de la Loze. And, well, look, this was bullshit. Excuse the language, because 5,500 meters of climbing or thereabouts, climbing over 3 Hawk category climbs, all inside 170K, won by our friend of the podcast, Ben O'Connor. Nice one, Benno. But yeah, what an absolute brutal day. Look, stage 19, getting towards the end now, and the GC was pretty much done by this point. Pogacar looking visibly tired, and Aronsman sort of sneaks away for his second stage win. And Jonas, look, he rolled Pogacar for second in the stage, but it was just a bit of a grovel to the line. And look, weirdly for me, stage 20 was that sort of uncharacteristic breakaway style stage day where it was more like a transition day, which you'd normally see earlier on between like the Pyrenees and the Alps. But we saw Caden Groves show his absolute class by keeping it upright on the wet roads and just soloing away for a victory. Like, what an absolute weapon this guy is. And then look, into Paris, the new final. 3 ascents up the Montmartre. What a great final, I say. So that's what I thought anyway. It seemed like the crowds were insane. And to view it on TV, it was pretty bloody good. I have to admit, way back here in Australia, I was getting excited. Van Aert serving it up to Pog, which I didn't expect. And the last time up Montmartre, he took off and took his second win on the iconic Champs-Élysées final. Pog took his 4th Tour de France victory. Jonas in second. That's his 5th time on the podium. Lipowitz in third. Pogacar winning the polka dot jersey. Milan got the green, of course. Lipowitz came atop Onley to win the white Young Riders jersey. And rightly so, Ben Healy won most aggressive. Boys, it's a lot. What a tour. So hard, so fast. Should we get into some quick punch fire questions and understand your thoughts on the tour? Favorite stage? Oh, hit me with it. Southam.
Ventoux, because it had it all. You know, like would the break get caught by the guys behind? Would they stay away? Who would win from the break? Van Wilder was out of TV shot somewhere lurking. It just had like classic final. Great stage. Unfortunate not to win it, but it was cool.
Great stage, yeah. Look, you've taken one of mine. I've got a couple backups just in case. Durbo, what's yours?
You took. To be honest, Ventoux was mine. So I wrote down.
It can be, but you can maybe got a different opinion because obviously you're on the bike.
Look, to be honest, it wasn't a favourite stage for the team because we actually messed up. We opened the road up, and I would say that the break was gone with 3 guys, and it was going to be a GC day for UAE. But
yeah, you did. I remember now.
Plappy and Mauro decided that let's open the road up again, even though everyone stopped for a piss, and let's just rip into it. So we opened the road up, but mine was more to do with just the crowd and Ventoux in itself. You know, like it's just a classic climb. You sort of come up to the top, and it's like you're riding on Mars, you know, and there was just so many people the whole way up. Like at the beginning, hey, Tom, like you'd barely drive the car. Like it was just you know, and then you pop out and it's this moonscape, and for me, it's just such an iconic climb to do, and there's just like it's pretty cool. So that was why it was my favourite, but wasn't my favourite stage in terms of like, you know, like we said. But we're going to go into those quiz questions later. But
you also had like when you get there, because you've done no other mountains, you arrive with the bunch at the base of the climb, so you've got all the time in the world to get to the top. There's no like, oh shit, we're already 25 minutes down. We need to do X, Y, and Z.
Exactly that
like,
feeling. Yeah.
It was like a Vuelta stage. It was perfect. You know, you just got to get up. You can just soak up the atmosphere. Look, I had that written as well, but I had my backup was stage 18. I was looking forward to that when I saw that on paper, just purely visually, like 3 all-category climbs, just epic climbs. And actually the stage was really good as well because Visma tried to have a chance. They set riders up the road. Jonas went on the Glendon. Then he caught the front group, which was like super weird because like O'Connor was in the front group, and then suddenly they're all in the front group. And I'd actually heard O'Connor was going to win. I was watching it on replay, and I'm like, how's he going to win from here? This is going to be crazy. I thought he would have just won from the break. But then he goes on, and then I was fast-forwarding, and suddenly he was solo. And I'm like, what? I was just fast-forwarding to the bottom of the climb. And how do you get away on the descent? So I had to rewind, and O'Connor went on the descent, which was also cool. And Lipowitz, he was riding for third, and there's all these different battles going on. I really loved that day. There was lots going on. It wasn't just like to rewind old Sky days where they just sort of churned the front and everyone just fell away. There was just so much going on in that, and it was an epic stage.
So, a little insight on that stage quickly is that apparently when you come off the descent, Poggy and Jonas came across to the breakaway, and Jorgensen was there. He was riding. And they were talking on the radio to Heyman, Ben O'Connor was, and Ben O'Connor's like, if they're not going to ride, actually attack them. And then so Jorgensen came up to Felix Gall and said, are you going to ride on the valley floor before we got to the Côte de Loze? And then Felix is like, I'm not riding. And then he goes, okay, well, Jorgensen was just going to ride himself the whole time. So Ben was just like, perfect, I'm going to attack now then. So as soon as Felix said, I'm not riding, then he just attacked that group and Rubio went. And then Jorgensen tagged on the back. It was a bit weird what Visma did, I think, to be fair, because they sort of dragged him away and then they sent him back, and it was sort of like, are we going for the stage? Are we actually going for, what we want to do? But, it's crazy to think that the GC guys actually caught Ben and then he rode away again.
Yeah.
But
it's like the gravel stage last year, remember? The two got there on the gravel stage and then just said,
True.
But, I was wondering,
so.
it's maybe a rabbit hole we're going down, but I was wondering whether Jorgensen actually did get called back or actually he just got dropped sometimes because he wasn't necessarily in the bestest form, it didn't seem.
Ben said he got dropped, but I don't, like you said, I don't know what on the radio what was happening, but Ben said, in the end of the day, he was there for like quite a way up, called a Loze, and then he sat up. And it seems a bit weird that he would hold on for so long and then sit up. If you're going to ride, you'd probably go back straight away and start to bring the group back. But
all right, well, best performance, best physical performance from the whole tour. It could be a standout or it could be just a cumulative performance. Do we want to keep going? Maybe Southam, you started and I finished, so I'll start off then. My best was actually, I'm probably stealing it from you, Southam, but screw it. I'm going to do it. Team EF, stage 10, the stage that took the yellow, and you can give me some insight to that. But
Yatesy won the stage, no?
Yatesy won the stage. But Sweeney, Healy ripping all day, 4 in the break from EF, break of 30. And Healy just rips all the way to line, and just watching that on the line because he gets the yellow jersey by 29 seconds. So it sort of came to it, and it almost looked like, I don't know this for sure, it'd be interesting to hear from you guys. It almost looked like UAE said to Pog, mate, just ride in. You don't need to push it because let them take the jersey. It sort of felt like it was going to be super close. Maybe he couldn't have got it, but it would have been close, a lot closer than 29. But I thought that the way you guys set that up, the physical performance, like, they're calling him the truck. I like what Harry wants to nickname as the 16-wheeler. I think we can shorten it just to 16. Just call Sween Dog 16 now. Old 16.
16 dog.
16 dog. So that's my physical performance. I thought that was pretty sick.
Yeah, so actually I was going to go with Harry Sweeney stage 10 because specifically Harry, because he was the one who tipped it from, the UAE thing was under control. We had 4 in there. It split. Nielsen was gone. And then Harry basically rode himself to a standstill. He put Plapp out the back, actually, and Plapp wanted to ride as well. And Harry rode so hard, he put Plappy out the back, basically. And that's what broke the chase behind. And so we had enough time. But then what happened after that, maybe I was pretty dark about it because, everybody sat on Ben. Fair enough, that's racing. But then Visma did this whole let's speed up behind and make sure that, Pog stays in yellow and has to do the press conference bullshit. And so we crossed the line and you've just lost the stage with 4 people sat in your wheel, some of whom he beat. And we may or may not have taken the yellow jersey then. And I was just like, it was on the limit because, it has to accelerate at the end. And even if Pog wants to let it go, when people start poking the bear, he's going to go. So, I was pretty annoyed about that.
I was wondering why you were like that after the finish, because I think people were like, Heyman said, he said, oh, congratulations to Tom. And I don't think you knew you had the jersey yet. And you had this look on your face. He's just like, you've just taken the yellow jersey, but you hadn't been confirmed yet that it was actually going to be enough time.
Tom's look. That's
Tom
his
just
look.
sitting there just like looking at Heyman like, shut up. We don't know if we have the yellow jersey yet. And
that's his happy look.
It was a little bit of that. It was a little bit of also I felt like Ben should have won the stage. Because we went there firstly to win the stage, and we'll talk about this a bit later, but it also evolved into this yellow jersey thing. And the yellow jersey thing, our mechanic's brother in Malaysia who was watching on TV, our mechanic's like, oh, don't worry, we've got yellow. It's like, yeah, how'd you know? It's like, my brother in Malaysia told me. I'm like, do you really think I'm going to go off some dodgy feed?
Radio. Yeah.
So it was a strange one, but yeah, definitely Harry Sweeney performance, specifically on that day, physical performance.
Durbo,
he was also in the break there on the stage 18 there. So 20.
Sween Dog.
Sween Dog.
Yeah. He's a beast.
Durbo, apart from yourself, 16 dog. Apart from yourself, Sweet 16. Call him the Sweet 16s. Never been kissed.
Best physical performance. I'm going to go with a full team ride on stage 17 by Trek. So it was the first time we got a chance at a sprint. It was pissing rain in the final. It was a huge crash. And I've been in that situation where you have to control pretty much 80% of the peloton want to be in the break and they want to go after it. and they don't care, and there's not enough guys to control for a sprint, and you're one of the only teams that want to do a sprint. And I'm talking like everyone threw everything at it. Like Trek was riding, the break, 20 guys went off, they closed it with Quinn Simmons, and then they came back and Tom Scoons rode, and then there was 2 really hard climbs that they kicked off on, and then Alperson got a little smell that Milan was dropped, so then they started ripping it, and then there was like Walt Van Aert went solo at one point, Abrahamson's the whole time out there, then it started to rain, and it was like really sketchy in the final, and the whole time Trek had just like bring Milan back, go straight to the front, start ripping it, bringing guys back, chasing Van Aert, like these guys. And I was just thinking, when they won, I was just like, that you don't sort of like see that from inside the Peloton. Oh, another sprint stage. That was a super hard stage. Like it was super hard. It was up and down, and when it started raining in the final. So when I saw the Trek boys afterwards, I was like, man, like that was a epic team ride. And for Milan to get the win, that was pretty cool. I mean, I hated the stage itself, but just that was cool to see.
It was old Ineos lighting it up, wasn't it? On the Ineos lit it up on the climb and basically buried everyone. And
good on you, Zach.
Yeah, Demers. Didn't want to say it, but
what an idiot.
Okay, I guess on the complete flip side, we don't need to dwell on it too long. The team that had the lowest impact on you, on the race, just Durbo, you were last. You can start off. You just spoke about one of the best team performances. What's the team that had the lowest impact on you in the race?
Wanty. Yeah. Thing is, they came in with Gamay. They were always sprinting. They were always trying to do stuff. Pretty much, I'd say 90% of their team crashed. They were always on the ground. And also, they were huge pests in groupetto because I don't know, whoever was in the car, the panic and fear that they would miss time cut was so much. They would come up and they would say, well, we've only got 27 minutes to lose. I'm like, who told you that? We have 49 minutes today. And they're like, we better go. We better go now. And they go to the front and they, Jonas Rush and Rex, they would just start squeezing it and we would just be going like, what the hell is going on? And like, we're not going to make it. Everyone for themselves. And I'm just thinking, like, who is in the car? Who is saying these things? So they had a massive effect on me personally, like annoying. The only reason I would throw them under the bus so badly is because they pissed me off most of the day because either they were on the ground or they were telling me how much time I can't lose. Anyway, Ronty.
Well, I'll go next to Southam. You can go last and then first. Mine was Cofidis. Look, they're already sitting down the bottom of the relegation. They dropped another spot. Now they're down to 19th. And I looked into their performances. I was like, well, how could that be? Like, surely they did something. Because even Wanty got second in a stage with Gamay. But look, Benjamin Thomas, he was pretty much their guy who did anything for him in the race. He's in that breakaway stage 1, which we saw the KOM crash. But their best position in the whole race was 7th on stage 8 by Cockard. Bookman, he finished 20th on GC. They got a pretty good team. They got Dylan Toons. They still got Jornik Izagirre. They got Bookman, as I said. Cockard, he can burn. He can.
Burn.
Even Cockard, he can float around for a top 5 in a bunch here. They just had a shocking tour. And I thought this summed it up perfectly from Ollie Smith. He said they've got the Beret Award, quintessentially French, but ultimately pointless. So.
Doesn't like a beret, Ollie. Clearly.
Brutal. All right, Southern, what are we talking? Worst team?
I'm going to rag on Tudor. They didn't perform totally badly. But you have to remember that they're the reason why we took 23 teams instead of 22 for all 3 Grand Tours of the year, right? So, because of this whole thing, we have to have Alaphilippe at the Tour, and we're going to put him on the cover of a newspaper when he doesn't win a stage. Just like we've got an extra team at the Giro, an extra team at the Vuelta, and for that, 0. The other, the other teams, you could say.
You've got a whole list. A whole list of teams.
No. I mean, like the other teams in that wild card spot. Uno X won a stage. Total top 10, which is a big deal for them. So yeah, I'm just going to hammer Tudor basically. because they changed the whole system.
Lotto Soudal also would be potentially up there. I mean, DeLee was sort of bopping around once or twice, but I think other than that,
I mean, there was like Israel didn't have a great race. What did they do? They changed the jersey, didn't even know who they were. Like Jake Stewart basically sat up and had that argument with the only chance they had. They threw away having an argument when Caden Groves rolled off the front. I mean, 14 teams didn't win stages. Like your team, Durbs, and my team are probably the only two teams that didn't have like a sprinter or GC guy or like massive budget that won stages. Like there's a lot of teams, FDJ, but they had a Gregoire in who got crashed by Romeo on stage 20. Like both those guys were good for the stage, but they took each other out. So it's like there was a lot of teams who went away with not much. The one I would argue in favor of would be that Picnic did a really good race without any expectation on them to do a good race.
Yeah, I think they stepped up as quite a good GC team. Like they really got a couple of top fives, like I said, with Onley got third and another couple of top fives. But they rode like a pretty good GC team. They had a lot of bigger guys that weren't like mountain support dudes, like absolutely like fisting themselves to get over these climbs, to be there for Oscar and like make sure they established their spot as fourth best team, and they were pushing in on guys and throwing their weight around like they're a GC team. So they really rallied behind a young guy, because a young guy that wouldn't demand that either. Like if they rode down the back and they couldn't get there, Oscar's not going to really say we should be up there. They actually just took it on them, and that's I agree with you, Tom.
All right. TDF caravan moment. And what I mean by that is the moment when you feel the crowd gets just as excited as they do when the caravan rolls past and they're throwing out a whole heap of junk and everyone's losing their mind. What was that moment in the race where they're almost just as excited as when the caravan goes past? When was the crowd really going crazy for you guys? What was that moment?
Montmartre. I have never, ever experienced that. I had a heart palpitation, I would say.
Gonna say the same.
Yeah,
mine's exactly the same. It's unreal.
Yeah. It was unbelievable, and also it made it even more epic because it was pissing rain. So it was like rain, and it didn't change anything. And if you just went like that, like just a little like gave the crowd, just like because I was in the drop group, I just went like I just couldn't help it. I just went like, come on, like this is sweet. And then just for doing that, it was just like it went up like another 15 decibels, and you were just like, oh my god. It was just like this tunnel of noise.
It was incredible.
It's gonna be locked in now. You know, it's gonna be locked in forever.
I think they can do better about the stage, because you can just go to Montmartre and they do about 15 corners beforehand into the climb, where the Olympics you can just sort of take off the champs, do one right-hander and go straight up to the climb. And I think that would potentially give a chance that it would be like a medium sprinter potentially get over. You know what I mean? Where now with the corners, they're never getting over. It's just like bang, 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 up. You know what I mean? And so like it's too much to take in. But like, you know, I think it could do that.
If it's not neutralized, you're also, whatever GC you have on the tour is going to go out the window if you have any issue, because the cars were miles away. Like miles and miles away.
You have to neutralize
so
GC.
You can't neutralize it. I think that was the one thing that I missed out of it, that the GC wasn't on the line. Because ultimately, if you just saw that group right away, and that was it. It was only like 10 guys really racing.
But everything that you've worked for 3 weeks is going to go for someone, basically. And all of your teammates and the 50 people in the staff and so on and so forth. Not that it should be easy.
You could say that about stage 19 as well.
No, not at all. Because I think at the end of the day, we're talking about luck. We're talking about 100% luck. Because at the end of the day, there's just holes in the ground that, like, the whole race is just massive holes. So it doesn't matter where you ride. You can just get a puncture like
maybe what they could do is they could go, let's do 22 stages then. And the 22nd stage is the Champagne Parade.
Listen to Mitch now. How long have you been retired for? He just wants to add stages to the tour. Unbelievable.
It was a horrible stage, and I don't.
All right. Well, this is a perfect segue into the wish you weren't there moment. What was the one moment where you're like, God damn it, I wish I wasn't there for that moment?
I would say stage 14 on the final climb, like as good as crowds are there, they were just out of control, like smashing the car, getting run into, like people getting run. It's when Cookson ran someone over by.
That was the
like,
Basque crowds, hey? There was like a lot of Basque crowds.
They're just like, I love the Basques, they're great people, but like the crowds they're
angry.
Like, drunk and all over the place and falling in front of cars and not looking, and there's kids in the road. For me personally, it's like terrifying to see some of the things that can happen there. So,
Durbo?
I've got two moments. One was the descent this is in my segment too, but descending with the crowd. We had one off Murder Breton. We just had to turn around and go straight back down Murder Breton with about 1 million people on it. And it was
after the race you're talking about?
After the race.
Oh, yeah.
After the race. So that was terrible, but I'll go into that in my segment. But the other one was stage 20 for me because, like, I've had some stomach issues on stage 20 and I couldn't digest anything. So when we went up the first climb, I went straight up the arse with the green jersey and I was in groupetto for 175K in the rain. So it was a terrible day. Terrible day.
That was not knowing anything about it, but that was what I wrote down. Stage 20, it looked super hard and grim because of the rain, and it was stage 20 and you weren't there yet you just probably, in my mind, I would have been like, there was no groupetto point. You know, there was no like, oh, let's just get to the big climb. It was just hard the whole day, and if you're on your hands and knees, they're the worst possible days, and I'm glad I was.
10K, and then we did 12K uphill, 4.5%. So it was like...
And if you were the organizer, Mitch, there'd still be 2 days to go after that.
Well, that's right. Well, so it wouldn't be as bad. What was the ultimate, to finish it up, what was the ultimate Tour de France moment of this year's race? You know, like the Hollywood moment when you think back when you're watching the tour and you go, oh, that's just the tour. That moment, what was it? I was last, so can I do mine this one? I'll start it off, kick it off. Bottom of the Haute Cam for me was when Navarez was riding and Yates just went, oh, I'm out of here, or even Pog pulled him out and said, mate, get out of the way. And then he just pretty much pressed go and told Navarez to do like 300, 400-meter sprint up the climb, and then went, yeah, see you later. I'm going to just go 11K to go, and just like rip the whole heart out of the tour. I was just like, what? I was sitting on the seat just yelling, like, what is going on? This is insane. It was insane. That moment was just, go back and watch it, you two. You would have missed it. But Yates just goes, I'm out of here, man. I'm going to get in your way. It's crazy.
That was an epic moment. Yeah. It was, I saw it on the TV, and like guys were coming back to my car and saying, oh, what's happening in the front? You know? And I was like, it's kind of done, guys. Wait till you just watch the highlights tonight. And
still 30 seconds slower than Bjarne Riis, though. Anyway.
Riis had tailwind, though.
Mr. 50.
What was your moment, Durbo?
I just can't go past us winning the stage with Ben. Like, I think just having that way, as you know, when you win that stage, and it came so late for us. We were pretty close. Mauro second, Plappy top tens, a couple of top fives and in the breakaways. But then just to get like the Queen stage, get the win, stage 18, it's pretty good.
I think I split between two things. One was taking the yellow jersey and Matt Heyman coming up to me and me showing my absolute delight at that moment. That was the real highlight of my life.
He goes, Tom okay? I'm like, I think he's all right. He might have been under stress or something. Yeah, Mortar's in the car. Maybe he's just a bit pissed. But I said, well done. And he just looked at me sort of like, are you right, mate?
The morning of the yellow jersey in Toulouse, that was like, when you have yellow, you've got like the whole world's there. And, the guys getting off the bus with a yellow jersey and going on, your son in last. It's like, it's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Cool.
That was a hectic stage, too. That's out of control. Man, there's so many of them. Shit.
All right. Well, pause, but more or less, Durbo, open us up, bud. That was great.
Pelo Chat. All right, ready, boys? Hey guys, Luke, Pelo Chat. All right, obviously we're going to do a
That's
Tour de
the
France.
intro.
Good one.
This is like, the thing is, it's like
You've got a career in it, mate.
notoriously shit. Yeah, okay. It's Pelo Chat with Durbo. What's up?
No, I like the old one.
Now you're like, hey guys, Pelo Chat.
Let's go. Hit us with it.
All right, mine is I'm talking about Tour de France, obviously related. Pretty much, I would say from the beginning of the what they call the briefing in Lille till the finish, there was something different about this year in terms of the organisation and the ASO, and I just felt like they'd nearly given up a little bit on the Peloton was going so crazy and the way we race is changed so drastically that they were sort of getting up to say, look, we can't really make it safe because you're going too quick. So we'll try our best, but in the end of the day, if you guys ride like idiots, because this is pretty much what they said in our briefing, they put up a picture and they showed us of us pointing things out, and one guy pointed out a pole. The next guy didn't, probably because he was on his limit. The next guy ran into the pole. So they sort of said if the second guy actually pointed out the pole that didn't have a foam, barricade on it, then nothing would have happened and everyone would have been safe.
So it's the rider's fault for not pointing it out in the race.
And then last year, I could feel it coming. They told us that the show is still the same, just ride a bit slower on the downhills because it's a bit unsafe for the motorbikes. All right? Then the other one was they blamed a bike. They said the new Factor bike is causing, just pointed randomly, they just pointed out that this new Factor bike is causing crashes because it's so fast. And then they also mentioned that in the end of the day, if we don't ride in terrible conditions and we don't crash and we don't have this, epicness to the Tour de France and it's not hard, and if we all get together CPA and say it's too hot or it's too cold and we neutralise stages, that the fans won't like the Tour anymore because it won't be that hard to get through. Anyway, and we sort of finished the briefing going like, what are we in for this month, Anyway, and then you just realise, just to set the tone, then you realise stage one, you're into it. And we went through about northern France. They went through like 20 or 30 towns per stage, maybe, probably more. And we come into town, 60 k's an hour, and there's a curb. So you come in, and this curb just sort of like slowly comes up out of the road. And it's just a tiny little bit of pink spray paint, just and then you're like the next one. But that one little pink bit of paint, that represents the entire town. So the rest of the stuff is not actually sprayed anymore. It's just start and then good luck, and we'll see you on the other side.
We gave you the warning.
We warned you, little paint back there. Just didn't you see the flag? And obviously you saw. There was just quite a few crashes and quite a few things in Northern France. And look, to be honest, I know it's a tricky job, but there was almost points of like, okay, that was one thing with the road safety. They didn't really give us enough chance to. The motorbikes can't pass the bunch anymore because there's too many towns, there's too many obstacles, and we're racing from kilometre zero to the end. So no one's letting motorbikes come past the bunch because
we can barely get the cars past, mate. We can barely get the cars past.
You never get the car past. Like, I mean, that's the tricky thing. And then we also had the element of safety in terms of we would finish these stages, and honestly, they give you a whistle and an armband and say the bus is 20k down the bottom, and you are descending with millions of people on the climb, and every single time there is some spectator on the ground with an ambulance with someone bleeding in his head, and someone got really badly injured on the descent we did, and it was just like, I just think they just didn't really. The Tour de France has gone so big And it's even got bigger than I reckon even when I first started doing it. Like there's so many people on there and they're uneducated fans and it's all great. But there is a point where it comes back to the ASO. We're going like, okay, we are the show. So how can we actually protect the riders? And like that's from getting the vehicles from start to finish. You know, like you were saying, Tom, we were a lot of time we were just in normal traffic. I don't know how you guys got to the TT, the uphill TT, but we literally were in traffic. We only just made the start. You know, we left 3 hours before. No, we left 3 hours before, and we were stuck in normal traffic on this valley, and we had to illegally jump behind an ambulance and haul ass on the wrong side of the road to get to the start. Where I just chucked my skin suit on and went to the start.
We did 20K past still traffic on the left, all on the right. There was a policeman came and said, "Come with me," and basically took us out at the last minute, got us there. But yeah.
This has never happened. Like this is a real Giro spec, but the two of this would never happen.
Wow,
I was very surprised. Very, very surprised.
It's gone up like a notch even from last year.
I don't know if it was like northern France because it's difficult. You know, like there's not many big roads and there's heaps of towns and all that sort of stuff. But even when we got to the mountains, it didn't necessarily get any better. You know, but I don't really know what to do there because at the end of the day, like we are going quicker and the style of racing is changing, but I'm just trying to I don't know, like obviously from a spectator point of view, Mitch, like it was a pretty epic Tour de France to watch.
It was great. Yeah,
so they got exactly what they wanted, you know?
I think there has to be some. I think there has to be some sort of just address the fact that the speed is so high, right? So you're doing 52k an hour for the first 2 hours, pretty much guaranteed, right? And the way that I see it, you got things like you got motorbikes in there with the TV guys who they cut to for like a 30-second clip of Jens Voigt talking. Do you need that? Does that person need to be buzzing around and then passing the bunch and then probably not? I reckon they've taken out some motorbikes, but I reckon they've got to take out basically every motorbike apart from the essential, because, you know, there's the whole argument that if you're, you know, Quinn Simmons got into it, it's like, if you attack first, the motorbike's going to get you to the finish. It's like, okay, well, firstly, attack first, but then after that, you know, there's got to be a reduction of, because if the riders are moving so much faster and you go through a town, like a motorbike is never going to accelerate away fast enough to not have an impact on the race and ergo the safety of the race and everything moving around it. You just have to accept that, okay, it's like, you know, when you look at the 3 average speeds they give us for the time cut, you know, like you can just bin the first two. Like you just go to the fastest one and then you add on. So they just need to readjust. Like it's never going to be 42 again, is it? That's just ridiculous. It's just never going to ride at that speed. So like it's 50 and it's 49 and with that comes like, you know, they used to have the commissaire cars and the team cars crossing the finish line. Like you watch races from the 90s. It's like you can't do that anymore because the speed's too high and there isn't enough space. So like all these things have to be adapted.
Could they make the stages longer?
Fucking hell, Mitch. 22 days, 300k stages. Jesus.
Why not? That might adjust the effort that's given.
Yeah. I actually honestly think when we
do you know what I mean? Like if you're suddenly doing like, let's say 250s all the time, eventually a bunch is going to go, you know what, we just actually can't sustain this. Guys are keeling over.
Yeah, but then you get the opposite racing of the racing that you like to watch at home. Like it's because at the minute you can watch the whole 4 hours of a tour stage, 4.5 hours, and it's good. Like it's like from zero to the finish. It's really, really, really good. It's just, I think it's just a balance with like, honestly, about like you said, Durbo, like the routes with the towns. Like
course design, I reckon there's two things. Like course design is pretty important now. I think there's a point of like we shouldn't probably race. We should race 90% of time on the D roads in France. You know, like that's the minimum. You know what I mean? Obviously, and then that's the 2-lane roads they have in France, and like that is. And if you little town, if you don't have the ability to have 2-lane into your town, then we just can't go through your town. And I know that's a problem for ASO for money and things like that, but it's just like that's just the reality of it. Like, you just can't have it. You can't go through there. And then also, I'm really fan. Gear restrictions would make a big difference. If we just went to 54 again, that was the bare minimum, then I think everything would slow down, because the problem is now is that you can come from front to back at the peloton because your gear is so big. But if you weren't in a position to start with, you can't get there. There's not enough leg speed. The speed of the bunch is going too quick. You just stay where you are. So when you come out or you go through town, the speed goes quick. You just have to stay there. You never come back. So, but like now what happens, you just go click, click, click. You have a 56-10 SRAM and you just move to the front again. You know what I mean? So that would also help. But anyway, that was sort of like the reality of it. And it wasn't just me, because that's why I'm saying that the CPA was our Riders Union group was so active the whole race. About time card, it was about this, about that. It was about, what are we doing here? This, the exit of the stages. I've never seen such a busy group at a race. Most of the time you don't really do that much. Like, you don't really talk about that much. You just do what you're doing. The race is what it is, and rah. But this time around, it was just like, hey boys, exit strategy was bad. This was bad. We need to fix this. We need to do this.
I think that's also hard for you guys though, Luke, because I don't know how you find it, but if I was a rider, I'd get pretty distracted by that stuff and even more wound up by it. So it's like, it needs to happen in the immediate thing, but you also need to concentrate on the race. Like when we have a rider come on the bus and says, oh, the CPA were talking, maybe we're going to do this, maybe we're going to do that. It's like, actually, you need to wait until someone says we're doing this or we're doing that. Because if you in your head thought that the Champs-Élysées was going to be neutral, and then it wasn't, you're ruined. So it's like that chat itself can also it can be a hindrance for someone who's tired, who's in the race, who just wants to.
Oh, we heard it on the radio on the Champs. Like, it was raining. And they were just like, oh, actually, after 3 flat laps, then it's going to be neutralized. And we were like, oh. And we talked about it for days beforehand. I'm talking like days. It was going back and forth about what was going to happen on the Champs. And it still rained and it was still wet, and they still made us race 3 flat laps of the Champs before they neutralized the GC.
What was even the point of that? There was no even point. Like, no one's even racing those 3 flat laps.
Lipowitz got 10 seconds.
Did he?
He was away. He was away. Yeah, he was away at the time. 10 seconds. So,
you know what I mean? Anyway,
all right. Well, let's talk some tactics, Southam. Let's hear about it. Let's go through every stage and run us through your race plan.
Yep, absolutely. So talking tactics. Obviously, Ben Healy is a big one for us. He had an amazing tour. I want to talk a little bit about the way that we approached it with Ben, and I'm not sure if it was different to other teams. I think to win a stage we knew was going to be extremely difficult this year, and we actually ended up with Ben. Like, we ended up winning a stage, yellow jersey, super combative, and top 10 on GC. And it's quite easy to forget the top 10 on GC, which could have been, in another team, you might have had a rider who was like, okay, our designated goal is to get a top 10, right? And you put all your resources into that. And if it didn't go wrong on one day, it didn't go right on one day, you've sort of lost it all. And I think a lot of teams either did something like that or they hedged their bets, like taking a sprinter who wasn't quite good enough to win a bunch sprint, like Paul Penaway from FDJ, right? You got him there. Then you've got Martin or whoever, and you've got.
We were pretty close, to be honest. If we didn't have classy Ben O'Connor, like, we were pretty close to making that mistake. And I think it was when we realised that Ben wasn't right. Then we at the crosswind day, Ben lost like 7 minutes because he just sat up and he was in our group and we just chilled. Just like, take a day off, Ben. Mentally take a day off.
That's exactly what. So we did that from the start with Ben. So it's like, okay, your day is going to be day 6. The first 5 days for us, basically, he was just cruising, and he missed the first split. He was in the second split on the first day. It's easy to say cruising, but mentally, there was none of that. Come on, we've got to keep you close, and we missed the split today. It's like, no, we're going to go through, and you're going to focus on this thing first, and we graded the stages. It's like, okay, what's the importance? Is it a 0? Is it a 1? Is it a 2? Is it a 3? Right? And so the first days for Ben, it's like, this is a 0. and you kind of have to have the balls to let it go. And you let things go, because I think the stages, because they're like mini one-day races, if you race them all, you're just going to frazzle yourself and you end up cooked. And in the end, he made one move on stage 6 and then that's the stage win. But he also took a lot of time. Then we went into the break on the next day on stage 10 again. So we just wrote off the next days. He did end up not losing too much time. He crashed on, he was caught up behind a crash, the one that took out Almeida on Murder. And he kept going there, still lost a little bit of time, but it was okay. And then it was right, stage 10's a stage we're going to go and try and win. That evolved into hang on a minute, this is going to be a full yellow jersey race, let's do that. But then even after we lost time on the Tourmalet, we had to do this game of let's not get caught so close that we start bringing into play the Archaeas, the other teams that are basically decathlon.
Racing you for top 10. Yeah.
Because we still wanted to win the Super Combatif, which means he still needs to go down the road. And if he got to a point where no one was going to let him go down the road again, he wasn't going to get that.
Yeah, chasing on Von too. They would have chased him back that day,
It basically came down to having to stay in front of O'Connor. We wanted to stay in front of O'Connor just before stage 20, so you guys wouldn't stop him going into the break.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it didn't all work out like that, but we were basically, because I think it was there was quite a big gap in front, and we were locked in this little thing as to we want him to be in the break more than we want him to be in the top 10. But
because you're also happy, I don't really care if he's 6th or 8th. I'd actually prefer him to be 8th and still get the super competitive and be in the breakaway and still go for stages, rather than be so close you're DSM start panicking and chasing for Only's spot or something like that,
Because the sporting merit of being 8th or 6th, it's so it's massive. We all know what an achievement that is. But for the sponsors, for the rest of the world, it's top 10. And Jordan Jagat was 10th, but O'Connor was 11th. But the difference in impact is the stage. You would have felt
Yeah, that was a mistake on our behalf anyway. From we should have been that top 10 that day, but that's another story. But
if you'd still been racing on the last day, you potentially could have got that back.
I think. Sum up, I think that the teams, I don't know, I'm not giving myself a pat on the back, but there's so many teams that missed out that you have to take a new approach to how you're going to do these races. You can't go in with this kind of, we'll go, we've got a semi-good sprinter and we've got a half-good climber and we're just going to try a bit of this. And it's no.
To give you guys credit, you guys were often in our meeting, because we knew that you had
on the wrong bus, you mean?
Yeah. So the pre-stage meeting was okay, guys, breakaway stage, who we're marking? EF. EF have the manpower to be able to set it up. If they miss it, they also have the manpower to bring the break back to then put someone else in it. So, for example, we had a full lead out potentially on those hard stages. We were sort of 3 men down already. We're Dylan and Elmar and Meza are saving themselves for the sprint day. So we're not necessarily going to put them on the front and smoke them into a climb, you know what I mean? Yeah. But you guys had such a strong team and you guys played it really well tactically that we're okay, if EF ever missed the move, Valgren's going to close it and Sweendog's going to launch Healy and Askren's going to go and it's going to be like this. So that was you guys were kind of feature for us of as a marking point. If you want to make this, which is just saying that you guys were doing the right things out there from what I was seeing. Directly after intermediate sprints, EF would line up like they're doing the lead out. You know what I mean? This is actually quite good. And then
it's just hit it.
No, seriously, they would. And it would just be they'll be in the lead out and, Trek's doing the lead out, Milan's gone. And then directly after you'd see an EF guy just bang, and everyone's on their limit and Healy's gone, And it was that's smart racing and
it's smart, but you've got to also go. You've got to have the legs. Yeah, like Healy again. Having him is just like a weapon,
But Healy and O'Connor, I think when you say that, you give them a 0 day. They're second group. The car is mentally they just can't. They're just classy bike riders. They had an easy day today, but they were, Ben would always come and go, "Oh, it's such a bad day today." was so cooked. I had to, because we were trying to sort of go for GC towards the end of just giving us. I'm like, Ben, you were 12th today though. And he's like, man, I had the worst legs. I'm like, but you're 12th on the mountain stage. Like, how's that bad?
Come in my body. Yeah. You're like, mate, you want to feel bad legs?
Yeah.
Come right
on.
Talking of
first day making the second group in the crosswind, like that's not a 0 day.
Yeah.
That's like good on you, Ben. You actually rode like better out of all the GC guys anyway.
So talking of being in other people's meetings, funny story from where like we got a brand new bus right before the tour, right? So which is great, new bus, blah, blah, blah. What we didn't realize was like for the first 3 or 4 days when we were doing our briefing up on the TV screen inside the bus.
Oh, no.
It was connected to the outside of the bus. So we were displaying. I don't think anybody ever saw it or nobody ever mentioned it. But like for the first 3 days, we had our whole plan like broadcast on the outside of the bus for the world to see. But hey, I mean, you can't say that we had anything hidden, right? So still
my God, that's brilliant. Because like the people around the bus, I guess it's only journos and stuff there, but they would have loved it.
This, Harry, this, so this.
Oh my God, that's brilliant. Brilliant. All right, well, should we get into this Communiquiz? It's a Communiquiz. Let's do it. The way we're going to do it is Durbo's got 3 questions. I've got 3. Southam was supposed to do 3, but he's forgotten, so we're just going to run it like that. Let's do it. Durbo, why don't we just go 1 for 1?
Sounds good. All right.
You start. Hit us up.
Right.
First question, Southam and I.
Now, we did say we wanted to keep it 2025. But
2025. No.
I've changed it. I am butting it because the thing is Tom didn't even do his question, so I could do whatever I want.
All right.
So I thought because we're going, the term of greatest of all time gets thrown around for Pogacar quite a lot. Now, I just thought we'd sort of go back a little bit to say like there is also Eddie Merckx, and I went and had a look at Eddie versus Pogacar, just a few stats.
Wait, 1 second. Is it Pogacar or Pogacar?
I say Pogacar.
What is it? What inside? Give us an inside tip. Have you gone? Ask him. Can you?
Okay.
Today. I mean, how much more inside can you get than that? Luke's just first name terms.
Message him.
I can text him if you want, but
no, I just for my own knowledge
right,
when I'm calling him.
I'll ask.
Okay, go. Sorry, Devo. Go.
All right. Merckx's 1972 season is actually ridiculous. So I thought we'd just do a few questions on what he actually did that year. Righto. So
just recalibrating 72. Yeah, right. Got it. Yep.
It is bonkers actually with just the general highlights of that year, let alone everything else he did. How many stages he won the overall Giro? How many stages did he win on that Giro? Was it A, 5, B, 6, or C, 8?
C8.
6. I thought it was 7.
6. Tom.
Nice.
So he won 6 stages of the Giro of the year. All right. Then the mad guy goes on to the Tour de France. He wins the overall there as well. How many stages of the Tour did he win that year as well? So we have A, 2, B, 10. No, I'm not 10, sorry. B, 6, or C, 7.
Is it 6 again?
7.
Tom.
I reckon you should just say, did he win half the stages at the Tour, a quarter of the stages at the Tour, or a third of the stages at the Tour? 1/3.
So let's get this straight. He's gone to the Tour and won 6 stages, right? He's gone to the Tour and won the overall and won 7 stages. Now, this is mind blowing. Like we think about Poggy like ruining racing. How much would he have ruined races? Like imagine Poggy won 7 stages in the overall, and then also we would just be like, this is boring. Why would we even watch it? Anyway, okay. Well, that is 2 questions, but I had one more.
I do all yours. 3.
It's all very
Pog
right.
still won. Pog still won 4 stages. Pog still won 4 stages in this tour.
Yeah, I'm not saying Pog and whatever Merckx is better, but it is crazy to think that that's how many stages he won.
All right.
Now, can you name the 3 monuments he won that year also? All right. Now, I'm going to give you sort of like, if you yell them out, I'll give you a point each. Does that make sense?
Why don't we just each have a punt? I'm going to say, okay. I'll go in first. I'm going to say San Remo, Flanders, and Lombardia.
You got 2 or 3.
Fuck. Southam.
I reckon it's San Remo's got to be right. San Remo, Flanders, Roubaix.
No, Mitch got.
Liège.
Yep.
Yes.
So Mitch,
Suck it.
So Tom's got 2. Mitch got 1.
All right. Southam.
That's insane, though, isn't it? San Remo, Lombardia, Liège, plus the hour record.
I think he won 30% of the races he rode that year in total, something crazy like that.
72. What a year.
Well, Durbo, you can take over from me. So it's you and me versus Southam. Riders versus the directors. All right. So Southam's on 2, I'm on 1. So Durbo, now you're on 1, Southam's still on 2. 3 questions to go. This is all about
bullshit.
Mate, you can bring us back. This is all about this year's Tour de France. All right. Think back to the first day. Who was the first riders, A, B, C, or D? Who was the first rider to crash at this year's Tour de France? A, Benjamin Thomas. B, Matteo Bashir. C, Filippo Ganna. Or D, Stefan Bissiger.
C.
Durbo?
I was going to go with Ghana. That's C, isn't it? But that's not possible. Do I have to change my vote just because Tom got it in? That's so shit.
It's a point each. It is Ghana.
Okay. Mitch keeping the game alive.
All right, keeping the game alive. All right, come on, Durbo. You need to win these next 2. How many riders became a Grand Tour stage triple legend, as in they win a stage in all 3 Grand Tours at this year's Tour de France? Only 114 riders have ever won a stage in all 3 Grand Tours in the history. Was it A, 1, Caden Groves, B, 2 riders, Groves and Wellens, C, 3 riders, Groves, Arensman and Wellens, or D, 4 riders, Groves, Wellens, Arensman and Paddy Pant?
It's A, 2.
B.
No, B, 2.
B.
Sorry, but I said A first, so Tom is on.
Who are the 2 riders?
Groves and Wellens.
You are both correct. Well done. All right. Scores are tied. Comes down to the bonus question.
How are the scores tied?
They're not.
They're tied. They're all tied up.
Yeah, let's just give me the bonus question.
All right, last question. Here we go. Let's wrap it up. The souvenir, Henri de Grange, the founder of the Tour de France and just a good old cyclist himself, is the highest, named after the highest point of the Tour de France each year. This year, it was the Col de la Loze at 2,304 meters. It is the 7th highest mountain pass in France. What year did they open the road up the mountain? A, 1853, B, 1960, C, 1986, a great year. That was the year I was born. Or D, 2019.
D.
19.
They're all tied up. That is correct. How'd you guys both know that?
Because there shouldn't be.
Probably because Durbo had to ride up it
twice now. Just hands down, I hate that climb. I will never, ever, ever do that climb again. I will not do it. It's so bad. It is so bad. It's like the Tourmalet, and they've just added the Motorola on top of it.
Boys, I'm going to let you go into your off season. Season's done now. The tour's over. the rest of us in the world have still got half a year to go. So, boys, thank you very much for having a Communique. Great to chat to you guys.
Good
See you,
fun.
boys.
See you later, boys.
Bye.
That iconic music in this episode was composed by none other than the legend Pete Shelley. Cheers, mate.